Well, good afternoon, listeners. Thank you for listening to Lament of Hope podcast. And it's a gift for me. I get to be Donna's first podcast interview, which made me very excited. But her name is Donna Valery Catalano. Did I say that right? Yes.
That's correct.
I always love to check. I've had people tell me, you shouldn't check, like, just keep going with it. I'm like, no, I always like
I
checking.
think it's so kind to check.
Yeah,
because
I don't think there's a problem with it. But anyway, she was a prolific singer and she did acting. She was on several television shows. I don't know if any of you are going to know these. I'm into older shows. So I love game shows like Tattletales, What's My Line? And she was on those. So for those who are listening who are from an older generation, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you're my age, you probably have no idea what these are. I highly encourage you to look them up on YouTube. They were very fun game shows that I really still enjoy watching. But she went on to do, she's now doing healing. She's considered a healer. She has also done real estate. So she's been on Broadway. She's done so many things. So this lady has had just an amazing life. She speaks several languages. She's traveled the world. And so I'm very excited to talk with her. So Donna, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm going to enjoy this. I know I am. I can tell by your eyes.
I'm glad. So can you tell me, I mean, people are probably listening going, okay, she started out singing and acting, then she goes into healing and then real estate healing. Yes. Yeah. Can you explain, like, how did that all come about for you? Because people are probably thinking, people usually don't change careers that much.
I had a wonderful career in show business. I was on Broadway for 2.5 years. I did all the major TV shows. Funny enough, you mentioned What's My Line? Yeah. In What's My Line, there was a panel, and every show they would bring people, and we had to guess what they did. But once per show, there was a celebrity, and we had to be blindfolded. And this one time, we didn't have to be blindfolded, and the celebrity didn't just signed it as an X. And we all asked our questions. And I said to him, there's something very spiritual about you. Do you recruit nuns? Which there's no such thing, but I invented that. And it actually is in the television museum that was the highest laugh, because What's My Line was on for like 25 years. And that was the biggest laugh ever recorded. And the person that I said it to was Jimmy Carter, who the next year became president.
Yes.
He was the governor of Georgia. Yes. So it's still there in the museum So I did a lot of TV. And then in 1990, I had a series of horrible tragedies. And I couldn't go on. I mean, my mind was blank. My soul was blank. I couldn't think of anything. And for a year, I did nothing. I mean, my husband, how he put up with me, I have no idea. But he was very kind and very patient with me. And little by little, I started to feel better. And there's a wonderful casino in Connecticut called Foxwoods. It's a huge Indian casino. And they knew me from my singing, and they offered me my own TV show, a variety show, which I accepted because I was starting to feel better. And on the first show, I had 600 people in the audience. And I like people. I like to be with people. So before the show, I went out and greeted people, and I shook this woman's hand. And I know it sounds bizarre, but I knew that she had a cyst on her ovary, which makes no sense. I'm supposed to be thinking of my next song. And I still have goosebumps today. And I went like this. I thought, oh my, very strange. And I went on. And then I shook this man's hand. And I just knew that his brother had died recently, which is very odd. Again, I had songs to sing. I had things to think about, but these things were coming in. Yeah. So I did the show. It was terrific. And then I went to my stage manager. I said, we're having a little cocktail party afterwards. I want to invite these 3 people backstage with me. And they came because it was a very exclusive little, party for the cast. And I little by little started to talk to the woman. And it came out that she had just had surgery on a cyst on her ovary. And
Wow.
I spoke to the man, and he said, I'm so happy that I came because I've been so depressed that my brother died last month. So I thought, this is very odd. So I told my I told my husband what I was feeling. He goes, "Don't tell anybody because they might think you've gone nuts."
Yeah.
So I did 13 shows. The show was luckily for me very successful, and they offered me another 13 weeks, and I just knew that wasn't my path anymore. I just knew I had to look into whatever I was feeling. I thought perhaps it's a gift, perhaps it's a curse. I don't know, but it was something. And so my much to my husband's disappointment, I turned down the show, and I started to just study everything I could about spirituality, about different modalities, and I did that for about a year and a half. And then one day, I said to my husband, "I'm going to be a healer," and he said, "My husband's a businessman," so he said, "Oh, excellent. What is what have you done about the money? What about offices?" I said, "Nothing. I'm going to have an unlisted phone number.
Hmm.
I'm going to not advertise ever. And if it's meant to be, it'll happen." Danielle, this is the very same night we went to a big cocktail party on Fifth Avenue, which is very chic in New York.
Yeah.
And my husband was talking to people, and I thought, I'm going to go and have a drink at the bar. It was a private apartment, and this lovely barman, and I was having a little drink by myself, and this beautiful blonde came up to me and said, "Hi, my name is so-and-so." And we had a drink together. And she said, "What do you do?" And I said, "I'm a healer." She said, "I've been looking for a healer. Can I come to you?" Well, I was taken back because and she said, "What do you charge?" I'd never thought of anything, but
Yeah.
I know you have to charge something because
Yeah.
otherwise people just don't respect anything for free. So I said, "I charge $2." And she came, and it started the ball rolling. And I have clients all over the world. Um, and it's been an amazing, amazing time. And I do have a license for real estate because my husband has a big business there, and I have my name in the office. But basically, I really do still practice healing, and
Yeah.
it's not the kind of healing where you put your hands on somebody, they feel better. My whole focus is to see why you're manifesting the illness and what started it. That is my focus.
Yeah, because I
You know,
wanted to ask you, because people listening, and also for myself, when you hear healer, you think of the
mhm.
preachers who started the big, like tents, and they would come and they would say, I am filled with power to heal you, and people would stand up and say, well, my leg is twisted, or I have cancer, and they would walk up, and then they would lay their hands on them and be completely healed. And so
Hmm.
people, and obviously a lot of those people ended up being fake. They would use the
Yes,
same type
I'm
of
afraid
people.
that's right.
And so a lot of people, when you say healer, like you said, it's kind of like, ooh, okay, that's
Yeah,
strange.
I think more of an energy healer because
Yeah.
all you are is a bunch of energy. And some people are compatible with others because some energies are not compatible. Everybody has experienced somebody walks into the room and you say, "Oh, that person gives me bad vibes." That's a very accurate statement because the vibrations of their energy are not compatible with yours. And
Yeah.
so I deal with that more than anything. So if somebody comes in, let's say with asthma, I'm not going to put my hands on them and say, now you're healed. No, my feeling is to track the energy back to how did that asthma start?
Hmm.
That's the trick because doctors will heal you. They'll give you the medication, but if you let go of what started it, the healing is gonna take a lot less time. That's my whole input.
What would be a good example, like, of a client you could give so people and myself could understand better? So, like, if someone you used asthma, what would be, because also I would ask, like, people might ask, even I would, is like, do you also ask about like mental health or like trauma in their past that might affect?
I'm the one that finds it. That's the whole point. To
Okay.
find that trauma is what's important. And remember, let's say that you're 40 years old,
Yeah.
and you have whatever it is, migraine headaches, just or asthma. My focus is to find the day that you started it. And believe it or not, let's say that it started when you were 5.
Hmm.
When you were 5, things that were traumatic to you then are not traumatic for you now.
Sure.
So my thing is to find the 5-year-old Danielle, how it started, so that now when I bring you back to your age, you can let it go as the little girl that we were at 5. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it
It's
does.
very important because, for instance, let's say that when you were, let's go back to being 5, and you stole a pencil, and your mother said, "You're a bad, bad girl. You're terrible." And here's your mother, your goddess, is telling you what a terrible person you are. That's very traumatic.
Sure.
Today,
Yeah.
as a, if you're 30, 40, whatever you're, it's not traumatic. You laugh at it, but that little girl is still inside of you. And we have to let go of that trauma to bring you today, to let go of that trauma, and it heals you more quickly.
So it's
That's my input.
it's not quite counseling, but it's almost. It's similar.
It's it's almost similar, but you have to have the trust that if I said to you, "This happened to you when you're 5," and you might not remember it right away, but eventually you will.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's when you start to heal. You let it go because you no longer think of that little girl as this bad girl that her mother called her or whatever it was. It's
Yeah.
terribly important to let those things go. And all those negative inputs are still inside of you. You never let them go until you start to become conscious of them, to let them go and release them.
Oh yeah.
It's a very interesting process.
No, I agree with you. I mean, we all act out of traumas a lot of the time.
Oh,
And so,
absolutely.
yeah, it's pretty
I had a
amazing.
very cute experience. I had a woman client, and she had a little boy, 5 years old, who had horrible asthma. So did the mother, but the little boy did.
Hmm.
And she said, "Have you ever had a little boy of 5?" I said, "No, but all he is a bunch of energy to me. So let's see what he." And as I was talking to him, I could feel that little boy had once, actually, I felt twice, forgive me, that had almost drowned. And that had started the asthma, the fear of drowning. So I said to her, "Your little boy nearly drowned once, maybe even almost twice." And she was a very wealthy woman. And she said, "Well, I think my nanny said that something happened in the pool." Once I brought that little boy to say, "You nearly drowned once." And he remembered it. Well, children have not as long a memories adults who are 40 years old. He was able
Hmm.
to release it quite quickly to the point that he came to see me the third time and he said, "Can we make this quick because I have things to do today?" He was completely healed. But because
Wow.
he was able to release the fear of drowning. And that's how it works for me.
Yeah. Do you know how you sense these things? Is it something you can
I wish I
explain?
could say to you, I hear words, I see things. It's like a flash. It's not the whole story.
Hmm.
It's a flash. I'll give you another example. The one thing I've learned over the years is never to rationalize what I heard. And I'll tell you why. I had a woman come in from Italy because I'm Italian. My first language is Italian. And she came to me because she had terrible pains in her stomach. Doctors couldn't find it. And I I know let's say I heard the word parasites. But I rationalized and I heard the word sushi or sashimi. But I said to myself, "But she's Italian." So I said to her, "Well, do you eat a lot of carpaccio?" She said, "I don't touch meat. I eat a lot of sashimi." It was too late. I couldn't say, "Well, that's the first thing I heard." But it was parasites. And she went to an American doctor and got rid of them. But
Wow.
so whatever I hear, I now repeat. If it's doggy doo doo, I'm going to say doggy doo doo because otherwise the Dana, the person, gets in the way.
Yeah.
Whereas the dana, the spiritual receptor, let's call it that way, is gets in the way. So you just have to go with it and trust it, which is not easy sometimes.
No, no, I wouldn't think so. I mean, and like you said
No,
earlier, people also, I would think it's like, have you experienced a lot of people who have made fun of you or have said, like, you're just making this up?
that's funny. I haven't. I it's very when people ask me what I do, I always explain it's very difficult to understand it
Hmm.
and it's very difficult to describe it. For instance, a woman came into me. I had an office in New York for years. I no longer do. And she sat down and out of nowhere she said, "I want you to know I don't believe in God. My work has I never mentioned God." And I said to her, "I'll tell you what. You can't prove that there is no God. I can't prove there is a God. So let's leave the door open." And she was a fantastic client of mine for a long time because just leave the door open. There's no such thing as absolutely or absolutely not. If you leave the door open, there's a sway, a bending
Yeah.
that can happen, and I think that that helps.
You know, that's so interesting because I would think, personally, I love to know whether something is true or not. And obviously, there are some times when we can't, like things going on
Mm-hmm.
in the world. There's so many perspectives happening at once that unless you actually go to the place, you can't actually know.
Mm-hmm.
But I would, I mean, wouldn't it be harder to just not know as opposed to seeking out whether there is a God or not? Because I'd feel like if you're swaying between the two, there could be moments of very deep despair. Like you mentioned the tragedies you've been through. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember, I mean, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but when I was looking at when I was doing some research and came across like a Wikipedia page that showed a picture of you, you had such a haunted look on your face. And I was like, this woman has been through a lot of suffering. And you can tell through someone's face a lot of the time, you know?
Yes.
Um, and I would just think, like, even for you, wouldn't it be hard to not know if you've had so many tragedies, like if things are just very swayable?
I didn't mean it that way. I firmly know there is for me. But if somebody firmly believes that there isn't one,
I see.
my point is leave the door open because one day you may find him.
I
Or
see.
maybe he'll
Okay.
find you. I firmly believe in God. That's it for me. But because she was so adamant about I don't believe in God, I said to her, leave the door open
I
because one day
see.
it could
Okay.
change. And I think that's the that black and white that people I hate this, I hate that. You know, I remember as a kid, my mother used to love people like old movie stars like Errol Flynn, and she thought he was
Mhm.
sexy. I thought, oh, now I look at him, hey, he was damn good looking because I've changed.
Yeah.
As you get older, you do change. Your tastes change. I mean, as a kid, I used to hate caviar. I love caviar now. It's and that's what I meant to her. Leave the door open, not for
I
me,
see. I see.
but for yourself. If you're adamant and you're closing all doors,
Yeah,
your life is going to be very stifled
it
and
is.
very
Yeah.
small. I think it's wonderful. That's why I studied so many modalities. I even studied with a guru. I don't worship any kind of goddess that the gurus perhaps do, but it's good to understand and leave that door open, for
Yeah,
everybody. Never be, I never close that door. And I think if somebody has an opinion, listen to it. If you listen, you might get out of the 100%, you might get 1%, but it'll help you.
I agree. I do.
There was in the
Yeah.
in the 70s, there was a book that everybody was reading. And it was about this German woman who could channel this spirit. And it was 500 pages of the most boring thing I've ever read. But there was one line. I mean, this book went on and on and on about this woman that channeled this guy. And then it was, I said to myself, this whole book was a waste of time. And then I said, no, I got one line out of it. And the line was, your life follows your thoughts. And
Hmm.
that to me is brilliant. It was worth reading this junky 500-page book for that one line. And so that's why the door should always be open. Never say, no, I don't do that. No, no. Allow for the possibility, because as you get older, you change. Your body changes, your thoughts change. You become, some people become more patient, some people become less patient as
Yeah.
with age. But it does change, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that knowing that you have the ability to leave that door open for some things that people are adamant about. I mean, for me, I firmly believe that I have a very good relationship with God. I'm very clear on it. Um, and I wish that more people could follow that, but that's up to them. And the time will come one day, that they might change. And I wish it for everyone. I wish for everyone to find. I was at a very important Thanksgiving lunch one day. My husband was very big in real estate, so there were some very important people, and everybody had to stand up and say something about what they wished for the world. And my only sentence was, I wish everybody peace of mind. If you could live with peace of mind, you're rich because
Yeah.
there's no turmoil. I think that people that hate, that despise, they don't have peace of mind. And how can you live a beautiful life, which I believe we're supposed to have? I believe we're put on this earth to have a really good time. I'm not talking about parties and booze, but a really joyous time. That old expression, stop to smell the flowers, it's an expression, something like that. You should. Flowers are magnificent when you look at them.
Yeah.
There's a beauty in them
It
that you
is.
have to stop, look at it, feel it, listen, smell it, or little birds singing. You have to take that time in life. And it's so funny that my housekeeper, who's a brilliant woman, she said to me, in South America, we all say that Americans rush through life. And it's true.
Yeah.
Here in America, everything is fast. My friends come from Italy, and we were walking down Fifth Avenue, and my friend said, where's everybody rushing to? I said, no, that's how people walk in New York. It's like, boom, 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 boom. In Italy, they stroll, you look at the shops, you talk, and you have to stop for a coffee. It doesn't happen. We rush through. And I think if we took a step back and just take the time, smell the flowers, or see a little doggy that you love, or whatever it is, it soothes and it gives you a little more peace of mind. That's what I really wish everybody would try and seek.
Yeah. No, I agree. I was gonna say, if you don't mind, because I know your brother passed away, he was also a singer.
Yes. Hmm.
Um, when you said there was 3 months that you went through of just really bad,
Okay. That's
are you able
what
to
happened
share what
was.
it was?
Oh, with pleasure.
Well,
My brother
maybe
was sick.
pain and pleasure.
No, I'm at peace with that, really, because actually, I'll tell you something that happened before the tragedies happened. We were in New York, and I woke up. It was like 3:30. This is going to sound hard to believe. Believe me, it happened. I woke up, and there were two people. I'm still getting goosebumps. There were two people standing next to my bed, which I thought were burglars. And when I looked more intently, they were dark, all black, and the woman was wearing. I'm sure you've seen in old movies these hats where they had the veil around the hat.
Yeah.
She was wearing that, and the man was just standing there. So I closed my eyes. I thought, well, they're not moving. I'm not moving. And I closed my eyes, and I distinctly heard, two of you are going to die. When I opened my eyes, they were gone. I quickly woke up my husband. I said, you won't believe what just happened. And he said, Donna, you're in denial. Your brother is dying. He's very, very sick. I said, but they told me two of us are going to die. He said it was a bad dream. I had a sister. My brother and my sister were 15 and 17 years older than me.
Oh, wow.
And they were very close. And the next month, my brother died. The following month, my sister, who had not been ill, died. I was pregnant at the time, and 1 month later, I was hit by a car and lost a baby.
Oh my
So that was three
gosh.
months of hell. Very, very difficult. And by the way, I was hit by a car. I was in my own limousine, and this drunk driver came right into me. So it
How
was a
far
tough
along were
4 months.
you at the time?
4 months.
And
4.
was that your first baby?
That was my third. I had lost two normal miscarriages, but this one was an accident. This one was it was a tough one. That was a 3 difficult months,
That is
and
so heartbreaking.
and for a year I was really. And I think in that year, I'm not being melodramatic, but I think in that year, I almost gave my soul a rest because I was not in touch with myself at all. I wasn't in touch with anybody. But I think that that's when I started to come out of it. I think that's why that sensitivity, intuition, whatever you want to call it, started. And I
Hmm.
think that that's what changed my life so completely, so completely. So I've had quite a journey, if you think about it.
No, I mean, and I'm guessing you didn't, because do you have any children after that?
Nope, I was never
No.
able to have children. And even that, you have to come, you have to come and have peace about that.
Yeah.
Maybe I wasn't supposed to have children, and that's okay. I'm I'm doing what I feel I was meant to be, and I'm blissfully happy, and I have peace of mind.
Can
That
I?
I think is what you want for your life.
Oh, yes. I mean, we all are seeking that. I mean, people say happiness, but I think what they mean is peace of mind. I really do. Um, but can I ask, because a lot of people would go through that, and I have talked with several people who have gone through terrible things,
Hmm.
and they're very um pessimistic about life.
They're very what?
Pessimistic,
Oh,
very negative,
yeah.
but also they just they kind of it's more of the view of that life is just what it is and it's sad and unfortunate and I will just do the best I can where I am. Um but for you going through so much in such a packed period, you have a very different view of just a very you don't say it wasn't hard. It was very terrible,
It was very hard.
but you instead embrace the beauties of life and the pains as well. And like how when you said that you started that show and that was when you started being able to hear or feel what other people were going through, what it is they were
Mhm.
experiencing.
Right.
Like, how did you get out? Was it your relationship with God that allowed you to get through that period without sinking into despair? Or how did that not happen to you?
That year of when all this happened,
Yeah.
in my life, there was no God. There was nothing. There was blank. In fact, my husband was kind enough to find me a grief doctor. And I actually felt sorry for him because I would go there once a week and sit. I had nothing to say to him.
Yeah.
I was, I was empty. I can't tell you, there were no tears. I mean, I cried when it all happened, but afterwards, for that year, I felt nothing. I was like numb. I was in limbo. And then one day, it was quite a few months in, maybe like 9 months into this poor man sitting with me, dead quiet, with nothing to say to him. Every day he would start the session by saying, "Did you look forward to anything today?" And I'd say, "No, blank. I had nothing to look forward to. I was empty." And then one day he said, "Did you look forward to anything today?" I said, "This morning I looked forward to a cup of coffee." And he said, "You're on your way." That was the first time I had an emotion of wanting something or experiencing something. It
Hmm.
took a long time. It takes time and it takes patience. He was very patient with me, and so was my husband, thank God. But I look back and now I think of the glorious times, because my brother and I sang on stage quite often. And I think of the glorious times that we sang together and the glorious times I had with my sister, who was more like a mother to me because she was 15 years older than me. And I think of only the good things, not how they passed or what happened or why they passed. Because I think I heard a great line once from a priest who said, we see the small picture, God sees the big picture. And
Yeah.
I think that is what I hold on to now. We see the small picture, but God sees the whole picture, the whole universe, the whole world, and we see such a small part of it that I let that go. I see the small part, and I'm enjoying the part that I'm doing. I find, for me, whatever I'm doing, I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying speaking to you and look at your face and how beautiful your lips are. I mean, that's
Oh,
me.
thank you.
It's it's true though, but that's what I do. You know, um, I'm not shy about saying to a stranger, "God, you look absolutely beautiful," because they do. They made an effort. Why not? And so I think if whatever I try and when I go into something, I try to really see the beauty of it, and I think that's what we're supposed to do in life. Whereas the old expression is the glass half full or half empty. Mine is always half full because you have to see the beauty of everything. I'll never forget I loved the ballet, and I went with this friend of mine, and it was a magnificent ballet, but the one girl made a small mistake. And my friend came out thinking only of that small mistake. I said, but the ballet, it was for an hour and a half. It was all perfect for that one little step because
Hmm.
she could only see, I can't do that. I see the beauty of it. I see the beauty of everyone because they were, whatever they look like, they're beautiful in God's eyes. And you have to go there. You have to find feet. Whereas if you find, this one's got a big nose, or blah blah blah. No, that's not what you're supposed to do. You're seeing the negativity, and I'm not going to do that to myself. I have to. I really want to experience the beauty of life, the
Yeah.
beauty of friendships, um, even the beauty of breakup. You know,
Hmm.
um, I have a stepson, and he's older now. He's 45. But when he was 19, a very funny story. He was in love with this girl. I mean, that very first big love.
Hmm.
And then he found out that she was unfaithful to him. And he was sobbing, sobbing. And I put my arms around him. I said, one day, when you're a grown up, you're going to look back and think, what adorable little boy that he was able to cry over this little girl who was unfaithful to him. Now it's breaking your heart, but when you look back, it's going to be something beautiful of yourself that you had that sensitivity to sob over a little girl. And, we discussed it a few years ago. And he said, you're right. I look back and I think to myself, oh, what a silly boy I was. I said, no, you weren't silly. You were sensitive. And that's a beautiful thing.
Hmm.
So again, something negative, and you can look at it later on and see the beauty of it.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
How would you describe your relationship with God if someone asked you?
Oh, that's interesting. Um, I would think the way I describe it is that everything I do, I mean, I wake up every morning and I thank God for waking up, number one, and for where I am. I mean, I'm in Florida. I'm not freezing. I thank God I have a roof over my head. And then in the summer, I'm in Rhode Island. Again, I have a roof over my head. Everything is lovely. So that's how it starts. But then whatever I do, whether I'm cooking something or I'm driving somewhere, I feel a closeness that and a relationship that helps me. Let's say that um, I'm driving someplace and I know that there's a huge, I don't like mergers, but they have, these four lanes that have to merge. And I was like, come on, God, we're doing this together. I always talk to him, we're merging on this together. Let's do it. And it gives me strength and it gives me faith. So I would say that throughout the day, I'm in touch with God.
Yeah.
I feel that.
You know, I w-
And
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Well, I feel that it's it's not a person that I see.
Hmm.
It's an energy, this all-encompassing energy of intelligence, of love, of everything that you can think of. That's what I communicate with.
So you wouldn't say there's any particular religion or name if someone asked you. It's more of,
I am Catholic,
okay,
and so I go to church. I believe in Jesus. I believe in Mary. But whatever your faith is, it doesn't matter. The fact is that you're connecting with this higher energy, with the spirit, not the spirit, but this higher energy that it doesn't matter what you call it. It doesn't matter who you are, as long as you're not planning to hurt somebody.
right.
It's love. That's the beautiful thing about, um, you know, there was I was in Taiwan,
Hmm.
and they had these wonderful temples, and there was a funeral going on, and I'd never seen anything like that. They have a big gong, and they on a pickup truck, and they gong away with the flowers, and I said, that's what they're communicating with, the energy of the person that's left their body, and it was beautiful. So whatever it is that you find, as long as you look for it, it'll help. That's my belief.
Yeah. Well, I
For
wanted,
me, it's being Catholic. I was born Catholic. I am Catholic. Um, but whatever it is, it doesn't matter to me. As long as it's not something harmful. That's the whole point.
yeah. It's interesting though, because I don't mean to press you on this, but you know, I've, I was watching an interview the other day of someone who was very, they were struggling with a drug addiction very badly.
No.
So you were, I was watching and listening to them and like they were just not even cognizant of how terrible they looked or sounded. But they felt that what they were doing made them better and what they were doing made them happy. But
Mm-hmm.
it didn't. Like you knew it didn't, but they said it did. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the part for me where it's like, if someone is pursuing an energy or a force in the way that they think makes them happy, but it's wrong, what do you do about that? And I would think as a healer, you're coming into contact with people all over with so many different things. And you know if something is wrong or right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How do you confront that with someone if they think that's how they're processing or finding peace of mind or connecting with something higher than themselves, but it's not good for them?
My feeling is that if somebody comes to me, and I've had people who have had drug problems and alcohol problems and other problems,
Yeah.
if I can give you 1 minute of not being in that world, you're healed. Because that minute is a memory that's now in part of you. It's been instilled in you.
Hmm.
And that can grow. Will it grow overnight? Probably not. But it'll start to grow. The one thing that I don't do is a lot of people, especially friends of mine, say, Donna, I want to give up smoking. Please help me. I say, no. Because you have to want to give up smoking, not say that you want to give up smoking. And I don't feel that they want to. They want to say it and they
Yeah.
expect me to do this and you're not going to smoke anymore. That doesn't work. There has to be that 1 minute. It's like when people are in pain, and I've dealt with people that are truly in pain, I would say if I could give you 1 minute where you don't feel the pain, that's going to grow because that's the memory in you of no pain, and you can grow that.
Right.
With drugs, it's very difficult.
Yeah, it is.
You have to find something. Now, I know a lot of people that do mushrooms. I've never even smoked a real cigarette. I'm not trying to be, goody, but I just never had. That do drugs and they feel that they find their own spirit. Well, if you have to find a path to find your own spirit, you're lost. Your spirit is with you. You're born with your spirit. That's part of you. And I think to have something to get you there, that doesn't work for me. You have to find yourself. Again, even if you find yourself for 1 minute, and even if you don't like that person that you find, you can improve it. We all have weaknesses that we're trying to, fix. But find that weakness and be honest with yourself and say, you know what? I'm going to try. And even if it's 1%, it's in the positive, that's a positive thing to do.
Yeah.
So it's very, very difficult. I've had, I had one client I'll never forget, the most beautiful girl. And she came to me, she was having some problems, and she said she was a real estate girl. Well, I'm intuitive. I know when you're lying to me. I mean, the girl is lying, but I'm not ever going to say you're lying. It has to evolve within yourself. And little by her third session, she said, I'm not really in real estate. I said, I know. When are you going to tell me? Well, of course, she was a lady of the night. Let's put it that way, delicately. And she was an escort service person. And she was in love with one of her men that hired her. And she was wanting to marry him. I said, you have to stop. That's not the dream that's going to happen. What can happen is that you're making money now, buy yourself an apartment, because your beauty is not going to be with you forever. You're not going to make all this money in escort service. Buy yourself an apartment, go to school, and she did.
Hmm.
She put her money down, got an apartment, and went back to school. Now, will she live happily ever after with that guy? I would venture to say no. Because men that hire these girls don't usually marry them. I mean, maybe once in a million, but not usually.
Right.
But it helped her just to face the truth. You're not going to be gorgeous forever, and men are not going to pay thousands of dollars every night to be with you. You have to fight the reality of, again, finding yourself. That
Yeah.
one day you're going to grow up and face yourself. And it helped her,
Yeah.
I'm happy to say.
No, you gave very good advice. I'm glad you did that. And it sounds like, one thing when I'm talking to you, you say things very compassionately. And so I would think it would be hard to be offended by something you said.
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you. I I hope with all my heart that I've never purposely hurt anyone. That I really sincerely believe that. Um, I luckily do not have a temper. I think the only angry time I can remember in my life, I'm afraid of the cold. The ice and snow makes me, because I don't like it. And my husband and I, well, he decided we'd go to teach me how to ski. And I don't know how to ski. And I was trying my little skis. I'm going back and forth with the snow not moving. And this man, he didn't know what he was doing either. He came backwards and bumped into me. And because of my fear of, number one, skiing, number two, the cold, I took off my woolen hat and I hit him with my woolen hat. My husband was hysterical laughing. So that was the end of my skiing experience. But that's the only time I can remember that I was really, truly angry. But I look back and it was a combination of being very cold, not wanting to be there, and this man bumping into me and throwing me into the snow. So I'm lucky that I don't have a temper. And I
Yeah.
think it gives me the time, and I'm a patient person. It gives me the time to give you the time. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. Yes, it does. Yeah.
That's what I hope that that's what you're sensing.
Yeah. No, I do. I think, when you were talking about the importance of finding yourself and how you might not like what you see, I think I think that's the thing though, is when we all look deep at ourselves, don't you feel like we all are pretty bad? Like if you think about it. Like, 'cause we're all not naturally wanting to do good things. I think that's the thing that, you know, even if we want to do a good thing, we do the bad thing a lot of the times. I mean, even now when we think about the wars going on and the just the propensity of human nature to do the wrong thing, even if we desire to do the good thing. That's the thing where I'm like, it's hard for me to think that if you ever looked at yourself and you could just improve it simply by wanting to, because we always fail, you know?
Hmm. I believe we're all born good, and then we're taught.
I see. Okay.
You're taught to hate. You're taught to distrust. Um, I don't believe that you're ever born bad. Perhaps you're born not well mentally. That could happen. But the majority of people, I think, are born good, and then through culture, through history, through whom, whatever, we are taught greed. We're taught jealousy. We're taught so many bad things and it develops. I remember when I was a very little girl, I went to my mother and I said, I really wish I was my little friend. She said, why? I said, because she has the dress that I've always wanted and she lives in a much better house than we do. And my mother said, if you wish that, you also have to wish for all the diseases that she's going to have in her life. And
Mm.
that woke something up in me. I give you my word of honor. I have never envied anybody or been jealous of anybody because my mother's words said, and then you have to envy everything that's going to happen to them, which might be a lot worse than the things that are going to happen to you. And
Mm.
I'm free of that. And I see the greed, the envy that is in the world. And I feel so sad about it because it's not necessary. It's not necessary. You have been given a magnificent life. No matter where you are, you're alive. Even if you're living in a forest, look how beautiful the forest can be and all the animals. It's whatever situation you're in, I think you can find the beauty of it. And you
I
don't have to learn the hatred of it.
I
You
see.
know, it's my husband always I laugh at him because he came from a very poor family. And to this day, he will not eat chicken legs because as a child, all they ever gave him was a chicken leg. And to this day, he will only eat the breast of the chicken because of the memory of it. But he worked so hard that he's become a very successful businessman, but always looking at the positive. He looks back. It's very funny. He said, Donna, I look back at my childhood and I don't think we were poor. I think we were very rich because we all loved each other. And we had, they went to picnics on the lawn or somebody's, but those are joyous moments for him. Whereas somebody that is enormously wealthy thinks back on their childhood, perhaps the mother ignored them because the nannies were there or whatever it is. You've got to do that and find, you know what? I had a great life. I had a good childhood. My, my, okay, maybe one of your parents was not good, but look what are you doing? You don't have to be beholden to how your parents behaved or treated you. You are born perfect. You are a perfect person. Now it's up to you to bring that person up. You bring that person up. It's uh, it's something I truly believe. And we're born with that perfection. We then kind of lose our way
It's interesting though, because
sometimes.
I know I lose my way a lot, so I'll speak for myself. But I was gonna say, it's interesting when you mention Jesus because I know in the teachings Jesus gives, and I believe in Jesus as well, but I know he says in scripture that all have sinned and fallen short of his glory, and that's why he had to come to die. So I guess
Mhm.
I'm confused if you do believe in Jesus, it seems like you do sincerely believe in at least the energy, the presence of him. What, I guess, how does it work that we're perfect? Well, I guess why did he need to come then?
Because I think along the way we lost our way. But when there's a hymn
Yeah,
in church that says, "You take away the sins of the world."
yeah,
He took away the sins. That's why now when people say, "Oh, you're sinners," no, we're not. He came here and took them away. We start clean now.
I
Then it's
see.
up to us. But I believe, and I believe this with all my heart, by the way, we are clean. And then we can acquire bad things that we do. That's our choice. God gave us choice. That's the difference between us and animals. We have a choice. You can either eat that egg or not. Or you can steal that egg or not. We have the choice. But if you go deep inside, we all know the truth. We all know the truth. I'll give you an example. Every time I get a client who's divorced, I ask the same question. deep in your secret heart, on the day you got married, did you know it was a mistake? 9 times out of 10, they say yes.
Hmm.
Because we get married for so many wrong reasons. Oh, maybe he was good looking, maybe he was rich, maybe he was a good dancer, whatever it is. But deep in your heart, you always know the truth. And so when you're doing something wrong, you know the truth. You just are overcome, whether it's jealousy or greed or whatever. But I think, again, if you go deep into yourself, there it is, the truth. And I do believe that we are born free of sin. That's my person. This it says so. He came to take away the sins of the world. And I think he did.
Yeah. I mean, I have to, be honest with you. Like, obviously, I very much respect what you think. And I think there's amazing things about what you're talking about. So many truths. And I think there's just such an elegance, obviously, about you. Um,
Oh.
but I do think that even just if I was to take out everything and just think of my own experience, um, I definitely continue to sin, but I'm so grateful that because Christ died, I know that he forgives me of that sin. But I know that without him, I still would be a sinner. That wouldn't go away because he died. It's more of, I know that he's died for me and saved me from myself. Therefore, I can live with joy. But it's less of, oh, I was born good, and because Jesus died for the whole world, no matter what I do, ultimately it'll be fine because I'm good, because he died. I think it's a little different, if that makes
Hmm.
sense.
And I think, again, if that is the guidance within you to think that way, that's good. Because you
Right.
know that there's good in there somewhere. Again, I, people that debate make me laugh. Debates are, to me, hysterically funny because at the end of the debate, I didn't change your mind and you didn't change my mind. So what was the point of a debate? Yes, a lot of wonderful words and intellectuals and things like that. It doesn't mean anything. At the end, you're still going to believe what you believe, and I'm still going to believe what I believe.
Yeah.
So I think the lesson or the work that we have to do is not to convince each other, but to help ourselves become better.
I think
That's the lesson.
I agree with you so much about the fact that, like, why take the time to read a book if you're only going to agree with 1% of it? Like, even when I remember reading Karl Marx's, manifesto or whatever. Can't even remember now what it's called in college. And I thought to myself, why am I reading this when I started it? And I got to the end and I thought, I learned a lot more about him than I thought. And I was really grateful for it because then I could understand his ideas, whether I agreed with them or didn't. And so I think it's so important. And one thing I'm so grateful for is the openness of individuals to talk. It's hard for me when people say, this is what I think, therefore shut up and don't talk to me. It's like,
Yeah.
well, if you think it, believe it, why do you not want to talk to me about it? Why must you shut me out? And I don't think that's a good thing to do. And I think more is gained and learned from discussion, like you said. And it's sad to me how much of that is cut off based on what you think, or if you want to protect yourself from something. I mean, probably going back to the traumas we were talking about earlier, right? But I think conversation is so important and so much can be gained by having a
Hmm.
conversation. So that's why I'm
I
so
think the
grateful.
conversation has to be like this,
Yeah, I
back and
agree.
forth, not to try and convince the other person what your belief is, but exchanging. As I said before, leave the door open
Yeah.
because maybe out of the whole conversation, just one line will eventually help you. Maybe the whole conversation was fruitless, but maybe that one line will help you in life. Like I bought that 500-page book, but that one line, I still live with it.
No, you are
So
you are not that 500-page book. I have many lines from this that I have gained. I am very grateful. You and I mean, what a life you've lived. I mean, it's a and also just the example you give of the grief you experienced and how you've come out still wanting to see beautiful things. That's
Oh,
really,
it's
really
been,
cool.
well, last year I was very grateful. I was born outside of Milan, and they contacted me, and I thought it was a joke to say that they wanted to present me with a lifetime award, for my work. And I hung up. I said to my husband, I said, "Boy, I think I was just hacked. I don't even know what they talking about." And then they wrote to me on the official paper, and we went to Italy, and I was presented with a gold medal with a lifetime achievement award, and it was lovely because that's where I was born. I left it. I was 5 years old, but I'm very lucky. I have a great memory of my childhood. I mean, I really remember everything. A little distorted because I said to my husband, we had this beautiful staircase, like, Gone with the Wind, that staircase. So
Yes.
we were invited to where the house was, and we saw the staircase. It's a dinky, nice little staircase, just normal. But as a 5-year-old, it was this enormous, beautiful palace. But then you go back as an adult, and it's like, oh, it's just a staircase, But it was a very thrilling. It was nice to show my husband where I was born, and it was a very special day. So yes, I've had a really interesting life. I can't say it was boring at all, and
No.
hopefully more to come.
This was so fun. Thank you for doing this in the midst of all your
Oh,
busy.
thank you for inviting me. I
This was
really
such a
enjoyed it.
gift. I really enjoyed
Oh,
talking with you.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
And
All right.
one little thought.
Yes.
Don't answer me. Think back to when you were 12 and think back to that time. It was something very special happened. I'm not sure that it was wonderful, but if you think about it, it'll help you in the future.
Well,
Don't
thank
answer
you.
me. Think about it.
I'll think about it. I will.
Okay. And
All
thank
right.
you very much. I
You're
so
very
enjoyed it.
welcome. Yes. Bye,
God bless.
Donna. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.